Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for the time given to me. I would like to present my paper under the title American Indigenous Literature in the Eyes of Islamic University Students. There are 3 points I would like to present in this occasion. The first, I'd like to talk about introduction, method, and then the findings. Indigenous literature has some important functions. For the native people, the indigenous literature will articulate and express their identity and aspirations. More importantly, according to Tobash and Caldwell, the literary work also affected young indigenous people and how they perceive themselves and build their identity. As they believed in the sacredness of language and earth, indigenous writers also have big concern on the place and landscape, propagation of cultural values, and the concern for the community welfare as opposed to the concern for the individual. For external readers, the indigenous literary work is a form of literary outreach to a diverse and inclusive audience. The indigenous literary encourages thoughtful responses by introducing and directing reader to the issues and ideas. What I'm going to discuss today is based on the method of literary work, and I used the reader response theory. So the data source is the short story entitled What You Want, I Will Read It, which is included in the collection book of 10 Little Indians written by Sherman Alexie, 2003. And the next data is from students' response. Used 6 students to give response of the short story, and they are university students in the class of literary studies. And here are the findings. The new vocabularies related to the Indian culture terms. So the first finding is talking about the vocabularies, new vocabularies that the students find out. The short story is talking about the Indian who found out the regalia, the pawn that he found in a pawn shop. So he couldn't get back the dance regalia, pay or $1,000. So from these stories, there are many vocabularies related to the American Indian culture. For example, the name of the Indian tribes. There are like Yakama, Colville, Plain Indians, the Aleuts. The Aleuts is the name of the tribe. Yakama is also the name of the tribe. Plain Indians means that the Indians who is not very clear of the ancestor or which tribe he or she is. And pawn shop or pawnbroker, in the sentence, the pawnbroker looked at me like I was a liar. Pawnbroker means the people who has the pawn shop. Shop means that shops that sell the things that is pawned. And the other vocabularies, for example, the wharf. In the sentence, when I got to the wharf, I ran into 3 elderly persons who sat on a wooden bench and stepped out at the bay and cried. Most of the homeless Indians in Seattle come from Alaska. When I go to the wharf, so the wharf, a place, a coastline. So I ran into 3 Alert cousins. So the Alerts is the name of the Indian tribe. They are all just brother and sister, so they call them cousins. And the Alert cousins who sat on a wooden bench stepped out the bay and cried. Most of the homeless Indians in Seattle come from Alaska. So The main character here, Jackson, is a homeless Indian living in Seattle, and he is very proud of being the homeless Indian. And then the other terms that related to the American Indian culture is the word powwow. The powwow is the name of the tribes, and powwow dance is a dance that is performed in the powwow ceremonies and the festival in the powwow tribe. Found out the powwow dance regalia, and he claimed that the regalia belongs to great-grandmother. He had to prove that this regalia belongs to his great-grandmother. The word regalia is also new vocabularies for the students. But the strangest thing was the old powwow dance regalia I saw hanging in the Okay, so the next findings that I got from this story and from the students who read the stories is that the students got the ideas of the challenges of indigenous men living in the modern society. This is the picture of the man who is in the Indian regalia. The challenges of indigenous men living in the modern cities here in the story is the first is the problems of homelessness. Why are they homeless? Because they cannot afford to buy or to rent a home or apartment or a house, because this is a big city and everyone has got a very good job and good salary to be able to afford the apartment or home or house. So those who has no social economic access, like the indigenous men, or they have no good social economic access. So most of them become homeless in that town. Yes, there are a few Indian men who has the career in the university or in a company, but most of them are not having a good social life. And the next is the challenges of the alcoholism. They are happy to buy or to enjoy the alcoholic drinks. They do that for, in the story, Jackson get some money and he spent all to bring the drink for all of the Indian. So that part is called Indian part. The challenges that the students find out in the story is that different perspective of value. Although Jackson is challenged to get enough money, he has got only 100 and he just spent all the money to buy the drink. They have different perspective of valuing money. And the other findings that interest students much is the humor in the story, ironic humor. So here, Jackson, as many people, is aware how people look down at him, and his tribe is homeless people, has no job, has no place, has no home, but he is proud of being, although he is homeless, he is able to use a very good place to get food and to use a toilet from a good restaurant. He also understands that people look down at him and his tribe. So the other example is that spend all the money he has, although he is in the mission of seeking the money, $1,000. So those are the three findings that the students found it interesting in this story. Conclusion. The story, what you poem I will read you, talk about young Indian men who valued most on the regalia, because the regalia is connected to his grandmother. The importance of the regalia is described since beginning until the end of the story. At the beginning, Jackson remembers the regalia and makes speculation that the loss of the regalia made his grandmother sick and dead. The power regalia was the most important thing in this story, and it has become the starting point that attracts readers' attention since it gives a new vocabulary for the readers. The author is successful in exploiting the regalia as the important subject, relates to historical, social, and cultural issues. So the main character, Jackson, tried hard to obtain this grandmother regalia, and he made a quest of secret mission in 24 hours to get the 999 US dollars. However, he didn't succeed to get the money. The different ways of valuing money made Jackson successful of not following the game. If he followed the game, he would have worked very hard to get the money, and of course, this was impossible. Instead, he spent all the money he has for drinking and having lunch with his native folks. At the end, without the money he has to obtain, he got the regalia. For Indonesian Islamic students readers, the problems of homelessness and alcoholism have become serious issues. For Jackson, homelessness has become something enjoyable, but for other people, Muslim readers in this case, this has become a big concern. This is affected by Muslim norms that consuming alcoholic beverages is forbidden. At the end, the main character shows that the importance of a regalia by wearing it and dance and feeling that his grandmother is back. He himself becomes his grandmother. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.